49ers, Brock Purdy, the quarterback, says, "Oh, I love Deebo Samuel, the wide receiver." Here we go again. Another high-maintenance wide receiver that the quarterback has to make sure he's happy, like A.J. Brown in Philly and Deebo and Malik Neighbors earlier in the year with the Giants and Devontae Adams with cryptic messages when he was a Raider, and I like Devontae, but CeeDee Lamb is perpetually unhappy, and George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, even Jamar Chase, who I love, made noise this year. Oh, by the way, the top 5 rushing teams in the NFL, Philly, Baltimore, Washington, Detroit, and the Packers are 48-17. Hey, receivers, we gave you a couple of years to be stars, and you wasted it complaining. The world changes quickly. 9 months ago, all we heard is the media lament the future of running backs. Nobody wants to pay a running back. Running back saying nobody loves us. Today, power running football is back. Detroit, Baltimore, Green Bay. Wide receivers have become, once again, flashy sports cars. Really expensive, high maintenance. You buy one and you find out they're not great in winter months and they're not something you could drive every day. Meanwhile, there are running backs, all weather, power, economical, low maintenance, grinders, add toughness and leadership to locker rooms. Yes, occasionally you will get a running back that's got some flash. Kyron Williams of the Rams, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. But 6 of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL, 6 of 10 leading in wide receiver yards, are on teams with losing records. Loud and losing. And once again, whether it's Philly or it's San Francisco or it's Dallas, it's this constant need. Look at me. Let's make sure the wide receiver is healthy. I don't get that with Saquon. I don't get it with Derrick Henry. I don't get it with James Conner in Arizona. I don't get it with Walker in Seattle. They're grinders. Head down. You give me the ball, I'll produce. I'll block. I'll take on a rush end. I'll take on a Mike linebacker coming a million miles an hour to protect my quarterback. And I like Deebo Samuel. But in 6 NFL seasons, he's only had 2 years of 1,000-plus yards. Derrick Henry, 7 straight seasons of 1,000-plus yards. And whereas running backs, when they're good, make a quarterback's job easier, wide receivers, when they're good, often need to be constantly soothed and pampered and taken care of. I mean, the A.J. Brown situation's ridiculous. Your team's on a heater. Saquon Barkley should be arguably MVP. And you want more targets? You're getting 7. Okay, we'll give you 9. And I like a lot of the receivers. But I always felt in this league that they were the icing to the cake. Saquon Barkley's the cake. Christian McCaffrey's the cake. Derrick Henry's the cake. And that doesn't mean I don't like wide receivers. But how many times do we see this? Winning teams having to make sure the wide receiver's healthy. What's interesting about Deebo, my favorite Deebo is after the catch and when he plays running back. So when the receiver Deebo becomes the running back Deebo, I like him more. So I think it's just a very interesting, the world changes quickly. And if you look at the teams now with power run games, always a quarterback's best friend. It's Baltimore, it's Philly, it's Detroit, it's Washington, it's Green Bay. Running backs are back. All weather, economical, tough. Quarterback's best friend. All right. So nobody wants any sportscaster to sit on the fence. Right? Well, what's the point? You got to pick a side on stuff, right? And I'm just going to tell you, when the story keeps coming out today that Belichick and Carolina are close to joining forces to be the coach of the Tar Heels, my takeaway, in my opinion, is it's eventually going to be a disaster. Let's start with this. He's 72. Yeah. And his personality is formed. He's got no charisma. He's trying on the other network, but he doesn't have any charisma. And college football, Dan Lanning, big energy, good-looking, confident, young, Sark, salesman. Saban, charming. Kirby Smart, likewise. Marcus Freeman, good-looking, cool. Jim Harbaugh, totally authentic, full of energy. Pete Carroll at USC. I mean, he hit you like a strong drink, man. He was coming at you 100 miles an hour, chewing that gum. Good-looking guy. I'm going to change your life. The players choose you in college football. In today's NIL, Bill's Patriot way, hey, take a little less for the team. Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. So that's the number one reason. Belichick, in my opinion, seemed a little out of touch dealing with 27, 28, 29-year-olds his last 3 years in pro football. Now he's dealing with 17 and 18-year-olds. So that's the first part. The second part is, and this is true in a lot of universities, but it's really true at Carolina, the administration at Carolina right now is a little bit of a mess. Academics one side, sports in the other. This is a proud university that's rival is the academic power Duke, so they don't want to take a second fiddle to anybody. So North Carolina is serious about academics, and there's a lot of pushback upstairs in the academic world to the sports world and the football program. And by the way, what's interesting is the top college football agent is Jimmy Sexton. He is a power broker. Why isn't he sending his best candidates to Carolina? Why are like second-tier candidates backing out? Agents will tell you the truth, where they send their people. If top agents in any industry start sending their people to certain locations, or not sending people to certain locations, it tells you everything. Why isn't Jimmy Sexton sending all of his great clients to Carolina? Because it is a top 20, 25 job. So, and the third thing is, I think it's all about Bill Belichick wanting to give this job to his son in like a year. I think he's going to get worn out a year in and say, I want to give it to my son, which, by the way, I get it. I'm a dad. Totally get it. But whereas Deion Sanders went to Colorado, and he was about attitude, us noticing a program that was irrelevant, swag, confidence. And I truly do believe that Deion Sanders really does care about elevating young men. To me, Belichick cares about elevating one young man, his son. And I get it. I really do. But that's not why you take a job, right? Like I think Deion to Colorado works because I think when it comes to Deion and what he really wants to do, he got the bag, he's the greatest cornerback of all time. He wanted to change some lives, including his son, not just his son. And so I don't buy it. I'm not sitting on the fence. Michael Irvin, who was so good yesterday on our show, the playmaker, former Cowboy, his thoughts on Belichick and Carolina.
The current landscape of college football is a lot different than even when Jimmy was in college. You know, so much different back then. You know, Jimmy can really use the hammer to keep you in line. I just don't know if Coach has the time to counsel, and that's what it's going to take. That's what makes Deion so great in college. He's really a mentor coaching. Coach is a coach that is forced to mentor. It's a lot dealing with kids in there, and I just think it's that's not what Coach want to be doing. He wants to coach football.
Yeah, college football has gotten harder for college football coaches in the last 5 to 10 years. I'd argue the NFL, though the owners are crazier and richer than ever, is easier because there's more really good quarterbacks and really talented offensive play callers and play designers. So for a head coach in the NFL, you don't have to be a wizard schematically. All sorts of very talented young coaches all over the NFL. And that league has a penchant for coaches. So it's a much better place to be an assistant than college football. This doesn't work to me. It may make headlines. It may feel right for about 6 games or 6 months. I don't think it works.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.